As you know, if you've ever watched any of our videos, you never know what to expect in a day out on the water, even if you're not going out on the boat. Kind of like this crew's about to find out here, as they were just out enjoying a day of fishing when this lady comes ripping by through the no-wake zone and winds up catching one of their lines, but not in the way you think. When I initially watched this, I thought for sure she sucked it up. But here's the bad luck on her part. An officer just happened to be on this dock inspecting fishing licenses and witnessed the entire thing happen, which means she's probably going home with a ticket. But more than that, she's going home lucky, because the officer quickly notices there's an issue here, and that issue is the jet ski didn't actually suck this fishing line up. It's actually wrapped around her and around her neck. She got extremely lucky in this one. She actually didn't get ripped off the jet ski and injured, or possibly even worse. Here my man starts to reel this back in, and this is when they notice that something's wrong, as the line is wrapped around her in general. Fortunately, the officer comes in here, he's able to get the line off of her, but man, what a lucky call this one is. This lady was having a bad day by running through the no-wake zone, but she got lucky that somebody actually wound up saving her, just like some of the wild and crazy things we're going to witness in this week's episode of Boating News of the Week. Our first story to make the boating news this week is going to take us up to Maine, where this was the situation just a few days ago when two boaters found themselves in trouble up near Harpsville, Maine. The images here show a 30-foot vessel stuck on the rocks near Mark Island. According to local reports, the call came in around 6:30 of this vessel losing power and getting pushed into the rocks. Emergency services personnel were quickly dispatched and on the way to the scene, but an emergency radio contact was sent out alerting anybody in the area who might be of assistance. Fortunately, a local marine services crew happened to be in the area, as well as a group of lobstermen who were the first on the scene. Here you can see the vessel's on the rocks, and the two men actually decide to go ahead and jump to safety, making it to the rocks somehow without having to be rescued from the water. Shortly after this, emergency service personnel did show up on the scene. They were able to pull them off of this and take them over to Bailey Island for rescue. Our next story to make the boating news this week is going to take us over to South Carolina, where this was the scene this past week as well, when beachgoers and people on vacation got a little more action than they bargained for. When they were looking out their hotel room windows or walking down the beach, they began to smell smoke. And the next thing they know, they start to see black plumes of smoke coming up from the ocean. What they were witnessing was a shrimp boat that had caught fire just a few miles off the coast of Cherry Grove. Fortunately, they were able to get a distress call out, and North Myrtle Beach fire rescue teams quickly were on the scene. The crew on board the shrimp boat itself were able to quickly deploy their life rafts and actually get off the boat before it became fully engulfed in flames. Fortunately for the crew, there was actually a dolphin tour boat in the area at the time of the incident and also heard the distress call and quickly wound up responding and assisting in getting the crew safely off the ship and out of the water. One of the people who was on board the Dolphin cruise was interviewed by local news media, and he claimed that they were circling back from their Dolphin cruise, getting ready to head back in to finish the day, when all of a sudden the captain came over the intercom saying that he'd received a distress call from a boat that was on fire. He said they could look out the front window of the boat and see the boat towards the beach in North Myrtle, where they could see smoke billowing off of it. The captain came back over the intercom and let everyone know on board that they were turning around to go and assist with the Mayday call. Fortunately, North Myrtle Beach Rescue Squad had two jet skis on the beach very quickly after the call came in, and they were able to use the two jet skis to get out to the scene and ensure that the crew of the vessel was okay. The fire rescue boat arrived within an hour of the call coming in, and initially it appeared they had the vessel's flames put out, but all of a sudden it re-engulfed again until the boat eventually wound up sinking. Fortunately, in this situation, no injuries were reported, and the Coast Guard's closely monitoring the situation for any environmental impact. Our next story to make the boating news this week is going to take us over to the United Kingdom, where this was the scene just a little over a week ago, where a boat wound up sinking just off the coast of the island of Sark. According to local reports, a gentleman was out enjoying a day of fishing when he was pulling up his crab pots, when all of a sudden one of the crab pots is believed to have become stuck in the sandy bottom, causing the vessel to start to list, eventually bringing the gunnel underwater and causing the boat to take on water and finally wind up capsizing, sending the fisherman into the water himself. According to the Guernsey Coast Guard, it claimed that it received a call from another vessel reporting that the vessel had sunk, with a person recovered from the water at around noon that day. The St. Peter Port inshore lifeboat was quickly launched to go assist with the situation and wound up taking the fishermen back into shore without any injuries. But the really interesting part of this case, a local group of commercial divers happened to be diving near this scene and heard the call come over the radio that the vessel was sinking. The commercial diving crew actually quickly jumped into action, went over to the scene to see if they could wind up assisting, and they did exactly what you see here, trying to stop the boat from sinking and actually getting it raised up enough where this vessel could actually be towed back into shore. One of the members of the diving crew was actually interviewed after the incident. He claimed it was a very unique scene and one of the more unique salvages they'd ever done, because they've never really been on a scene where it was this fresh. In fact, when they arrived, the boat was still partially above water. The boat was later pulled from the water after they got it back to shore by a crane. Our next story to make the boating news this week is going to take us down to Florida and take us over to the coast of Miami, where this was the scene just a few days ago, where the 4 men you see in the pictures here had to be rescued after they were going out government cut and a big wave hit their vessel, capsizing it and tossing all 4 of them into the water.
Central units, we're receiving a call on the water in government cut in the area just south of the jetty.
Now, according to local weather reports, around the time of the incident, there were several storms passing through the Miami area, so it is believed that weather played a factor in this incident, and according to the report from the gentlemen themselves, they believe that a large wave hit the boat and wound up capsizing the vessel itself. The real problem with this situation is that this crew was not prepared.
The vessel has already sank. There's 4 people in the water and only 1 life jacket.
According to the local reports from local rescuers, by the time the 911 call came in, they claimed their vessel had already succumbed to the wave in the water and had sunk. And the crew was out there off of government cut with nothing more than 1 life jacket to share amongst the 4 of them. Now, fortunately in this situation, the 4 were able to tread water, sharing the 1 life jacket until rescuers were able to get to them, pulling all 4 out of the water uninjured. But this just serves as a reminder, if you're going offshore, always make sure you have easy access to all the safety equipment you might need in case of an emergency, so you don't wind up in a situation like that crew. And speaking of going offshore, there's nothing like going offshore and taking your boat over to the Bahamas. And that's right, FLIBS is right around the corner, the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show, and we will be hosting our seminar there again on how to take your boat to the Bahamas. We will be there on Thursday and Saturday, so if you happen to be at the show either one of those days, stop by the seminar booth and check out that seminar. But thanks for watching, crew. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Boating News of the Week. If you ever see anything crazy happening out on your waterways, be sure to hit us up on Facebook or Instagram and let us know, and you might see your stories over here. Just like Sarah Foster, John Paul Feliz, Determination Marine, and Adam Coolidge did this week. And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and drop an anchor on the subscribe button here. If not, we're coming to steal your drain plug.